Hi, I'm Megan Martinez, and I'm currently enrolled at SPCE 630, Section 814 with Professor Carrasquillo. Today is December 7th, 2025, and I'm going to begin by shuffling my deck of cards 3 times and then splitting it down the middle. 1, 2, 3, and then split it down the middle. All right, so I will be holding my cards so that the definition's facing me, terms facing the camera. I have a 1-minute timer set on my phone already. And with that being said, I'm going to get started right now. A change that occurred in how the dependent variable was recorded threatens internal validity. Instrumentation. Non-experimental design that includes 2 phases, A and B. Case study. Single case research design where the criterion for reinforcement or behavior change is gradually altered over time. Changing criterion design. How long a behavior occurs. Duration. Time sampling procedure. Record behavior if it occurs at the moment the interval ends. Momentary time sampling. The slope and direction of the data on a best fit line within the phase. Trend. Changes in data that result from the natural environmental conditions associated with the onset of data collection. Adaptation. Magnitude of change in level between the end of the phase and the beginning of another. Immediacy of effect. Non-experimental research that identifies relationships between variables. Correlational research. Okay, that's my time. I'm going to set those aside. All right, that's my time. I'm going to continue on through the deck. All right. The variable that is manipulated by the experimenter in order to determine if changes in the dependent variable will occur. Independent variable. Estimate of the occurrence of behavior within a specific period of time. Discontinuous measurement. Variable that impacts the dependent variable but is not the phenomenon of interest. Confounding variable. The basis for experimental reasoning used within applied behavior analysis, which includes prediction, verification, and replication. Baseline logic. Research question that evaluates whether a particular intervention works or the impact of an intervention. Demonstration research question. Type of single case research design that involves intermittent data collection at specific points in time to assess whether the behavior change is occurring without continuous monitoring, allowing for more flexible and resource-efficient analysis. Multiple probe design. Graph in which the cumulative number of responses is represented on the vertical axis with a steeper slope being indicative of a higher response rate. Cumulative record. Type of single case research design with repeated introduction and removal of the independent variable within a participant and target behavior. Withdrawal design. Amount of data from one phase that overlaps or occurs within the range around the best fit line of the data from another phase. Less overlap is representative of a stronger effect. Overlap. Represents the number of trials or opportunities required for some performance criterion to be met. Trials 2 criterion, I think. Yeah. Research question that analyzes of 2 or more independent variables that make up a treatment package. Component analysis. The extent to which an intervention conditions are implemented as designed. Treatment fidelity. Relationship that exists when the independent variable causes changes in the dependent variable. Evidence of experimental control. Functional relation. Degree to which an assessment measures what it is supposed to, the phenomenon of interest. Validity. Type of instability in the data that represents a repeated pattern of data variability across time. Cyclical validity. Equal distances on the axis represent equal absolute amounts of the variable plotted on the axis. I know it's equal interval graph. The time between the onset of some environmental event and the target response, latency. The range or the spread of the data within a phase, variability. Improved functioning as determined by measured improvement in observed behaviors to amount that is meaningful. Clinical significance. Demonstration of a functional relation through the manipulation of an independent variable while observing changes in the dependent variable. Control. Two-dimensional graph with a logarithmic scaled y-axis so that equal distances on the vertical axis represent changes in behavior that are of equal proportion. Semi-logarithmic graph. Chart. Got it wrong. How many times a behavior occurs? Frequency. The extent to which the order of the conditions may impact the dependent variable. Sequence effects. Sequence effects. The extent to which a prior condition may impact the dependent variable within the current condition. Pass. Demonstrated when the predicted change in the dependent variable occurs when the independent variable is manipulated by the researcher. Basic effect. Qualitative experimental approach in which participants serve as their own control uses visual analysis of data. Single case research design. The extent to which the findings of a study can be generalized to other situations, people, etc. External validity. Two events shown to covary over repeated observations allows for estimations to be made about the future occurrence of those events. Prediction. The phenomenon of interest. Behavior to be changed, aka outcome variable, dependent variable. Research question that evaluates the effectiveness of an independent variable of two different levels or amounts. Parametric research question. Single case research design with sequential introduction of an intervention across multiple behavior settings or individuals demonstrates the effect of the intervention by comparing baseline and intervention phases. Multiple baseline design. The number of responses per unit of time, or frequency divided by unit of time, rate. Lasting products of the behavior of interest may be natural or contrived. Permanent products. Research question that evaluates which intervention is more effective. Comparison research question. Captures all occurrences of the behavior of interest during an observation. Continuous measurement. Systematic investigation and manipulation of variables to identify associations and understand process. Research. Measurement of the behavior taken before interventions are started. Baseline. Okay, baseline data. I think same thing. I'm going to count it as correct. Some extraneous event that occurred during the study and impacted the dependent variable. History. Variation of momentary time sampling to record the behavior of a group. Count the number of people engaged in the behavior at the moment the interval ends. PLA check. Degree to which an assessment tool produces consistent measurements. Reliability. Type of research in which large groups of individuals are assigned to one of two or more study conditions and differences are statistically analyzed. Between group research. Time elapsed from the end of the previous response and the beginning of the next response. Inter-response time, IRT. Uses a two-dimensional area that is formed by the intersection of two perpendicular lines. Any point on the plane represents a specific relation between the two dimensions, represented by the perpendicular lines. Line graph. Time sampling procedure. Record occurrence if target behavior occurs for the entire duration of the interval. Whole interval recording. Developmental processes within the participants during the course of the study that may account for changes in the dependent variable. These developmental processes may be permanent or temporary. Maturation. Degree to which an experiment is conducted effectively or evaluates the effects of the independent variable, phenomenon of interest, and not confounding variables. Internal validity. Time sampling procedure. Record occurrence if target behavior occurs at any point during the interval. Partial interval recording. How much a behavior occurred. Categorized as low, medium, or high based on value displayed on a y-axis. Level. Quantifiable and observable events that are compared with known facts to form hypotheses. Description. Rapid alternation of interventions within a participant or group that allows for the comparison of the interventions to one another, aka alternating treatments design. Multi-element design. Alright, my cat is playing behind me. Last one, the percentage of data points during the intervention phase that do not overlap with the baseline phase, indicating a change in behavior due to the intervention. PND. Okay, so that's all my cards. I got 2 incorrect, and that's my final submission. So thank you so much. Goodbye.